Established over 2,500 years ago, the Galactic Council had always been the ultimate authority on peace and order, resolving disputes across star systems with calm diplomacy. Its members, representing countless civilizations, consider the Council's long-standing peace the pinnacle of their achievements. Yet tonight, under the cold glow of interstellar light, peace seemed like a fragile illusion. At the heart of the room, Ulderax, the towering, scarlet-skinned warlord of the Torcon Empire, stood, his voice booming across the amphitheater. Enough! Humanity grows bold, expanding unchecked. They dare to venture into territories once held sacred by our ancestors. If we continue to sit idle, they will soon breach our borders, challenging our very legacy. Murmurs rose like an uneasy tide from the delegates seated around him. They were a collection of beings, each from a distinct race, each garbed in robes, armor, or light-weaving textiles that displayed their status and origin. Among them was Zarath, a figure cloaked in wisps of nebula-like energy, representing the Solarian Union. His voice, though soft, cut through the noise, carrying an unsettling calmness. Warlord Ulderax, Zarath intoned, "Are we to abandon 2,500 years of peace because of fear? Humanity's rise is remarkable, yes, but we have seen their kind before. They will reach their limits, as all others have." A figure on the opposite side of the chamber rose. Kirill, the elder statesman of the Avark, a slender race known for their logical minds and adherence to tradition. His silvery skin reflected the room's dim light, and his tone was measured as he spoke. "Humans are resilient," Kirill conceded, "but we should approach with caution, not hasty aggression. Open warfare would disrupt centuries of alliance building among ourselves. Surely there is another way." But Ulderax would not relent. Another way? They have already weaponized their rapid expansion. Every new world they touch becomes a fortress, a beacon of strength. We may argue that they lack finesse, but their creativity in war-making is unmatched. If we do not strike now, they will become unstoppable. Across the room, a sense of unease spread among the council members. The council was built on diversity, with each species contributing different perspectives, yet Ulderax's words struck a chord. Humanity had indeed risen faster than any civilization they had ever encountered. Originally confined to their distant solar system, humans had developed technologies that propelled them across vast sectors in mere generations. They tamed hostile worlds and thrived where others perished. Reports suggested they had amassed a defense network unparalleled in scope, technology that had taken older species millennia to perfect. As tensions grew, a new figure spoke up, a strategist and diplomat known as Lureth from the Namari Dominion. She was respected for her insight into new species, and had previously advocated for patience with humanity. Her gaze was steady, and her voice was cool and precise. "Humans are unlike any species we have encountered," she began. "Their adaptability is extraordinary. They evolve not over generations, but over years. It is this trait that drives our unease. We are attempting to fit them into a mold of our own understanding, but they defy it. If we do choose conflict, we must be prepared to face an enemy who will learn from every encounter, who will turn each of our strengths into a lesson for their own advancement." Kirill inclined his head, considering her words. "Then perhaps the answer is not conflict, but cooperation. We could attempt to bring them into the council under guidance and regulation." "Cooperation?" Ulderax sneered. "You would give them a voice within these halls? You would trust a race that views the universe as their personal battleground?" His gaze shifted to Lureth. "Diplomacy has blinded you. We are dealing with a predator species that disguises its hunger with words of unity." Lureth's expression remained unchanged, though a shadow flickered across her face. She understood the warlord's fear, but knew that every council member would soon have to make a decision. If humanity was indeed allowed to grow unchecked, the balance of the galaxy could shift in unprecedented ways. The council had maintained stability for millennia by carefully controlling the spread of power among species. But with humanity, the unknown loomed large, defying every attempt at prediction. Finally, it was Zarlok, the Council's elder mediator and the longest-serving member, who broke the silence. His voice, though weak with age, carried the weight of experience. "We have reached an impasse," he said solemnly, "but it is clear we can no longer ignore humanity's influence on our worlds. We must take action, though I propose a controlled strike, a show of strength that will remind them of their place without the devastation of full-scale war." The council members shifted uncomfortably. A controlled strike? Such a measure had not been used in centuries. Yet as the assembly looked around, they saw agreement growing in their colleagues' eyes. This would be a way to send a message, one that would put humanity in check without igniting a catastrophic war. Alderax grinned, pleased with the turn of events. He could see his vision coming to life, his warnings vindicated. Zarlok's proposal of a measured show of strength resonated with him, but he was willing to take it further if necessary. If they resist this warning, let us be prepared to deliver consequences that will remind them why the Council reigns supreme. Kirill looked to Lureth, his expression troubled, but he nodded his assent. He knew that in yielding to the Council's decision, he was opening the door to violence. Yet he could not argue with the Council's consensus. They had seen peace for thousands of years, but now they faced an unprecedented challenge that required a united front. Zarath, though wary, finally gave a slow nod as well. "Then let it be known," he said quietly, "that the Council acts to preserve peace, not destroy it. But let us tread carefully, for this decision will shape the galaxy for generations to come." Zarlok raised his hand, finalizing the decision. The council chamber fell silent, its members watching as the elder proclaimed their collective will. "Then it is decided," he declared. "We break the silence, and we deliver humanity a message they cannot ignore." In that moment, an ancient peace crumbled, replaced by the cold resolve of a united council. Their decision would echo through the galaxy, a warning to humanity, and a revelation of the council's own fears. The message from the Galactic Council came through in a solemn, encrypted broadcast. Every screen on Earth, from bustling city squares to the smallest outposts on the fringes of human-claimed space, blinked to life, displaying the Council's emblem, a swirling array of stars encircled by ancient symbols of unity. For a moment, all was silent as humanity held its breath. Then the declaration echoed across the planet. The Galactic Council, protector of peace, condemns humanity's unchecked expansion and issues a mandate for immediate cessation of hostile advancements. Non-compliance will result in swift and decisive action. On the floor of the United Earth Command Center, General Leon Harris stood, face stony, as the final words of the message faded. The hum of urgent conversations buzzed around him, but his gaze remained fixed on the screen, absorbing the severity of what had just been delivered. This was not merely a threat. It was a declaration of war. Humanity was being told to halt, to cower under the weight of a council that had never before faltered in its dominance. The gravity of the message weighed heavily on the council gathered around Harris. Alongside him was Dr. Aidan Calloway, the lead strategist and a longtime advisor on interstellar diplomacy. Aidan's expression was one of shock that quickly hardened into focus as he turned to Harris. "They've underestimated us," he murmured, the fire of determination sparking in his eyes. "They're trying to intimidate us, but we can show them that humanity won't be cowed." A slow nod was Harris's only reply, his jaw set. His mind was already calculating the possibilities, recalling every skirmish, every piece of intelligence they'd gathered on the Council's forces. He knew this battle wouldn't be like the others. This was humanity's defining moment, and he felt the weight of it pressing on his shoulders. The room fell silent as Harris raised his hand, his voice steady as he addressed the assembled officers. "We knew the day might come when the Council would tire of our presence in the galaxy. We hoped it wouldn't, but we prepared nonetheless. Humanity will not bend or break. We will stand firm in the face of their demands." An electric current seemed to run through the room, charging each officer with an unspoken resolve. Humanity had been a fledgling power in a vast galaxy of ancient empires, learning and growing, but never naive. With each colony they established, each new world they ventured to tame, they had always suspected they were being watched. And now, the Watchers had spoken. "Let's get the word out," Harris continued, his tone commanding but calm. "Contact our stations across the colonies. Reinforce all border defenses and initiate the Phoenix Protocol. Every ship, every station, full battle readiness." The Phoenix Protocol, humanity's ultimate contingency plan, had been whispered about for years, a testament to their awareness of the Council's looming presence. It was a coordinated defense and counterattack strategy that demonstrated humanity's unyielding determination to survive, no matter the odds. A young lieutenant raised his hand. "Sir, what message should we send the colonies?" "People are bound to be unnerved." Harris gave a faint, grim smile. "Tell them the truth. The Council wants us to submit, to stop where we are and surrender our future. But humanity was never meant to stop. Let them know this is our time to stand. We've survived worse. This is a test, and we will prevail." The lieutenant nodded, moving off to relay the message. Around the command center, screens flickered with maps of humanity's sprawling territories, each star and planet a symbol of their journey from Earth out into the galaxy. Young worlds, harsh and unyielding, had been transformed by sheer will and ingenuity. Humanity had always thrived where others hesitated, and this threat only solidified their resolve. Turning to Aiden, Harris lowered his voice. "How soon can we get the fleet mobilized? I want a show of strength near our borders. Nothing aggressive yet, just a reminder that we're ready." Aiden's fingers flew across his tablet as he calculated, already pulling up fleet reports and status updates. "We can have the 3rd and 4th fleets on the outer rim within 72 hours, sir. We'll need to divert resources, but we'll make it happen." "Good," Harris replied, "and prepare a broadcast. I'll address Earth and the colonies myself. This isn't just a war of strength. It's a war of will. The Council may think we're isolated, but we are bound together by every human's right to shape their own future." In a secure office adjoining the command center, Harris sat before a camera, his reflection staring back at him with calm determination. He took a deep breath before beginning the broadcast that would reach every colony, every station, every human within the bounds of their claimed space. "People of Earth and all our worlds," he began, his voice steady and resolute, "we have received a message from the Galactic Council, a demand to halt our progress, to relinquish our future. They believe us to be a young, reckless species. They believe we will submit. But they are mistaken." His words carried across light years, reaching colonies on the brink of alien territories, stations orbiting distant stars. Each listener felt the intensity of the message, a surge of pride at the thought of defending what they had built, what they had claimed as their own. "We are united not by conquest, but by the pursuit of progress, of exploration, of freedom. And we will not abandon those ideals because a council, comfortable in its long-standing peace, demands we stop. Humanity will stand. We will not be intimidated." In homes, command centers, and outposts across the galaxy, people watched in silence, absorbing the weight of the message. Harris continued, his voice like tempered steel. "We will defend every world, every person. We have faced adversity since the dawn of our history, and we have always emerged stronger. This is no different. The Council may think they know us, but they have yet to see what humanity can truly achieve when pushed to its limits." As he ended the broadcast, Harris knew that humanity's resolve had been kindled into an unstoppable flame. The Galactic Council wanted humanity subdued, silenced, brought to heel, but they had only awakened something fierce and unbreakable. In the dimly lit room, Harris looked down at his hands, clenched tightly. He could already feel the pulse of what was to come, the battles, the sacrifices, the drive to prove themselves. He had no illusions about the trials ahead, but he felt a powerful certainty. The Council had ignited a force they would soon regret challenging. With renewed determination, he rose, ready to lead humanity into its defining struggle. The human fleet emerged from the void of space like a wave of silent thunder, sleek ships glinting under distant stars as they advanced on the Council's front line. In the lead was the UNS Valkyrie, humanity's flagship, commanded by Admiral Marcus Reeve, a seasoned strategist known for his calculated ruthlessness. For him, this battle wasn't just about defense. It was an opportunity to shatter the Council's belief in their invincibility. "Commence Operation Thunderstrike," Reeve ordered, his voice calm but charged with anticipation. Around him, the bridge crew moved with precision, hands flying over consoles as they executed each step of the plan. Across the fleet, ships began dispersing, each segment of the formation advancing with clockwork accuracy toward the Council's primary outpost, Haven Prime. This fortress had long been regarded as impregnable, a bastion of the Council's strength on the fringes of human space. The Council had been certain that no species would dare to challenge it. Yet in minutes, humanity's fleet was in position, their thrusters silent as shadows. On Haven Prime, alarms blared as officers scrambled to make sense of the approaching ships. Warlord Ulderax, still furious that the humans had ignored the Council's warnings, watched from his command post on the station's highest deck. His eyes narrowed as he studied the human formation, expecting a frantic, desperate assault. "Typical human aggression," he muttered, his voice laced with disdain. They come forward, expecting brute force to save them. But this was no reckless assault. As he watched, the human ships began to split into smaller groups, moving with a surprising agility that confounded his tactical screens. Each vessel advanced on its target in a coordinated ballet of maneuvers. They didn't barrel forward but circled, moving with a caution and focus that Ulderax found unsettling. A sudden flurry of missiles streaked across the space between the fleets, but unlike traditional bombardments, these missiles dispersed into clusters of smaller drones that darted around the station's defenses. Haven Prime's automated turrets began firing, but they struggled to keep up as the nimble drones weaved through their targeting zones. Within seconds, the human drones had hacked into the turrets, shutting down Haven Prime's perimeter defense. Ulderax's fist clenched. "Divert power to the internal shields," he barked, though his voice betrayed a flicker of doubt. Humanity's attack strategy was far more refined than he had anticipated. Meanwhile, aboard the Valkyrie, Admiral Reeve monitored the unfolding scene with satisfaction. Their opening move had destabilized Haven Prime's defenses without firing a single direct shot at the station. It was a psychological blow as much as it was a tactical one, and Reeve intended to exploit that advantage fully. "Phase 2, he ordered. "Launch infiltration units." From various ships in the fleet, compact, stealthy pods shot forward, attaching themselves to key points on the station's hull. Inside each pod was a team of specialized soldiers, equipped with advanced adaptive armor and gear tailored for space combat. Their mission was clear: disable Haven Prime's control center from within and plant a message, a demonstration of human ingenuity and tenacity in the heart of Council territory. Inside the outpost, chaos reigned. Council soldiers, unprepared for a direct assault within their fortress, scrambled to contain the humans. The corridors became battlegrounds, human soldiers moving with practiced discipline through the alien architecture. They used non-lethal weapons designed to disable Council personnel with stunning efficiency, a deliberate choice meant to showcase humanity's restraint even in the face of hostility. Warlord Ulderax watched the security feeds with mounting horror. His most elite forces were being outmaneuvered and outpaced. For the first time in his storied career, he was losing control of his own stronghold. Humanity was demonstrating a mastery of tactics that defied the Council's assessments. In the heart of the station, the human infiltration units reached the main control hub, securing the area in a swift, precise operation. Captain David Lang, the mission's leader, activated his comm, broadcasting a message across all Council channels. To the Council, he began, his voice steady, yet laced with the unmistakable edge of defiance. "Humanity does not seek conflict, but we will not submit. We stand as equals in this galaxy, and we have come to remind you that we are not to be underestimated. This outpost is now under human control. Withdraw from our borders. or be prepared to see more of your so-called strongholds fall. The message echoed across council-controlled space, reaching warlords, diplomats, and civilians alike. The silence that followed was punctuated only by the tense crackle of the intercom, leaving council leaders staring in stunned disbelief. Humanity had just struck the unthinkable blow. They had breached the Galactic Council's fortress and sent a direct warning that challenged every assumption about human limits. Back on Haven Prime, Alderax's fury boiled over. "No!" he roared, slamming a fist onto his console, sparks flying from the impact. This is impossible. They are but a young species, unrefined, untested. How could they?" His voice faltered, the bitter taste of humiliation sinking in. Humanity had defied him, defied the Council's ancient supremacy, and in doing so had exposed his own failures. On the Valkyrie's bridge, Admiral Reeve allowed himself a small smile as he watched Haven Prime systems flicker and go dark, the final act of the mission's success. With the Council's fortress neutralized, humanity had secured a victory that would be felt across the stars. Reeve knew that, strategically, they had proven more than just resilience. They had shattered the illusion of the Council's invincibility. "Mission accomplished, Admiral," a communications officer reported, her tone triumphant. "Prepare to withdraw," Reeve replied, his tone calm but unmistakably pleased. Let the Council sit with their defeat. They wanted a lesson. They've just received it. As the human fleet pulled back, leaving Haven Prime in its humbled silence, a realization rippled through the galaxy. Humanity was no longer simply the upstart species reaching for the stars. They were a force to be reckoned with, a rival that had demonstrated not just defiance, but mastery in the face of overwhelming power. In the smoldering wreckage of Haven Prime, Warlord Alderax remained, his gaze fixed on the void where the human fleet had disappeared. He could already feel the eyes of the Council turning on him, judging his failure, questioning his power. For the first time in centuries, the Council's ancient dominance had been fractured, and though the battle was over, a new conflict had only just begun. The corridors of the Galactic Council's High Court were silent as the Council's leaders gathered, normally filled with the soft hum of dignitaries and advisors. Today the space was thick with tension. The news of Haven Prime's fall had spread quickly, leaving the Council's once unquestioned authority cracked and vulnerable. Seated at the head of the assembly was Supreme Speaker Delos, a figure known for his calm wisdom. But today, his face was drawn, his gaze focused as he addressed the Council. "Our assumptions about humanity have been disastrously misguided," Delos began, his voice firm. "We presumed that their youth, their lack of centuries-old tradition, would prevent them from becoming a threat. Instead, they have struck where we felt strongest." The assembled leaders remained silent, each of them confronting the ramifications of their long-held beliefs about humanity. They had been shown that humanity was not a rash, naive species easily swayed or subdued. The success of the assault on Haven Prime had exposed a stark reality: the Council's own limitations. Across the table, Minister Galen, a respected diplomat, spoke up, her voice low but steady. "Humanity has displayed a unique adaptability. They use intelligence, strategy, and control, demonstrating a restraint even as they occupied one of our most guarded stations. They had every opportunity to inflict lasting damage, yet they chose to issue a warning instead." Thalos's gaze turned thoughtful as he considered Galen's words. "Indeed," he replied, "it was a move to showcase strength, not a reckless thirst for bloodshed. Their actions spoke louder than any declaration of power." In the days that followed, the Council leaders conferred, deliberating over how to address this unexpected development. Warlord Alderax, the one who had pushed hardest for the conflict, was notably absent. Confined to the lower echelons of the Council's chambers, his authority fractured by the very species he had dismissed. Delos knew that the Council's response now needed to be measured, for it would determine how humanity perceived them in the future. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, humanity's allies and colonies celebrated the victory, recognizing it as a defining moment in their history. On Earth, In bustling cities and isolated outposts, the broadcast of Haven Prime's capture replayed, stirring feelings of pride and unity. Admiral Marcus Reeve became a name spoken with reverence, a hero whose strategic brilliance had won a battle no one thought possible. But even as humanity celebrated, they understood that the war was far from over. The Council still held overwhelming power, and their pride had suffered a blow that would not easily be forgotten. Admiral Reeve, now back on Earth, addressed a gathering of United Earth leaders and officers, outlining the challenges they would still need to face. "We have shown the Council that we're not to be underestimated," Reeve said, his voice carrying over the crowd. "But this victory does not mean they won't retaliate. They may come at us stronger than before. We must prepare for every possibility." In the weeks following, Reeve worked tirelessly with his advisors, readying defenses and reinforcing human-controlled space. The message was clear. Humanity was here to stay, and they would meet any retaliation with the same resolve. But it was not just military readiness that defined their preparations. Humanity sought to send a message that they were open to a new relationship with the Council, one of respect rather than submission. Back in the Council's High Court, the discussion finally turned to the question that lingered above all others. Would they consider a truce? Minister Galen, who had long advocated for peace, addressed the Council with renewed resolve. "If we continue down this path," she argued, "we may incite humanity to become not only our rival, but a lasting enemy. They have shown respect and restraint even as we demanded their submission. Let us recognize their strength and approach them as equals, rather than as wayward children." The proposition hung in the air, met with silence and contemplation. Delos, the supreme speaker, could see the truth in Galen's words. Humanity's defiance had revealed a strength that went beyond military might. It was a strength rooted in resilience, intelligence, and unity. But would the other Council members recognize it in time? One by one, they cast their votes. Some resisted, holding to the old ways of dominance, but others saw the wisdom in acknowledging humanity's strength. When the final tally was counted, the Council agreed an unprecedented move to open diplomatic relations with humanity would be initiated. The first message, penned by Delos himself, was sent to Earth with a deliberate tone of respect. It read, "To the leaders of humanity, we acknowledge your strength and resilience. The Council extends an invitation to open dialogue, that we might together build a future where strength is measured not in dominance, but in cooperation." Back on Earth, Admiral Reeve received the message with a slight smile, the weight of the Council's acknowledgement settling over him. It was a historic moment, and he knew that humanity had reached a turning point. The victory at Haven Prime had not only demonstrated their military prowess, but had proven that humanity was capable of charting a new course, one that could reshape the future of the galaxy itself. The stage was set for a new era, one defined not by submission or dominance, but by mutual respect. Humanity had earned their place in the galaxy, and in doing so had forever altered the balance of power among the stars.